Welcome back, guys. He's Commander Cockings.
He's got a Foley! Definitely.
Maybe. Are we?
I think we are, but that doesn't say anything, because if I was programmed to think we were, then how would I know?
Yeah, you might be not even aware that you're not real. I want the real Samuel back. Anyway, today we're here to talk about the latest episode of Lower Decks and the problem with Boimler, I guess. We've already done a video talking about the transporter clone and the real Boimler, or is it? Was it a setup? Was it? It's a little too convenient. The time wasn't.
Plot does thicken, Stuart. One episode on. Maybe. That's not something I necessarily considered, so I'm eager to hear your argument here, because I'm just like, okay, interesting. Talk me through it, Stuart. What are you thinking?
In the back of my mind during this episode, he was having problems with the replicator, having a problem with doors recognizing him. The computer didn't seem to want to admit that Boimler was back, even though he has been re-added to the system. So it makes me wonder if there's something slightly off about this version of Boimler. Maybe it's not the real Boimler. Maybe the real Boimler's on the Titan. Maybe the real Boimler is still being held captive by the Packlids. Who knows? But this one, the doors wouldn't respond to him. The computer didn't seem to. It's maybe something slightly off. They eventually fixed it, but he should have been right back in the system because he was added back in before the episode started. So it's a small little thing, and just in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, that's convenient, especially considering in the last episode how that ended. I just thought it was an interesting development, and I'm interested to get everybody's thoughts on it. So I just wanted to put it out there.
And if something I hadn't considered, because it plays very straight, more as a question of what actually happens on a ship when you're not licensed and approved and whatever, and then, well, nothing, I guess, because you can't do anything. We've never seen that in Trek, and so it's interesting to see what that perspective is. I think my gut reaction, and I'll jump into what your argument there in a second, but I think if I was to have thought a bit more about this in my first watch, I would honestly say that it was a prank on Boimler as a little haze. Because they're like, oh, you left us, he's in the system, but we just won't activate his clearance for a day, because that's all it was. Even though everyone says you're in the system, you are, but prank. So that's the subtext I got as a little hazing thing. Don't know where I got necessarily from. If there's in that episode, I don't know. But that's kind of, I thought it was very innocent. I didn't think it was a computer glitch because everyone was so confident. I thought it was more of a cheeky haze.
I never even once considered that, but I mean, with the way that Ransom was talking to him at the beginning, if you have any problems, just go see, Stevens. So maybe Ransom knew that there's going to be problems, and he wanted to bug the other guy, and by having Boimler go to him instead. I don't know, but I never got that sense. But now that you said it, possibly that was kind of dropped in there. The other thing that I think stands out to me is when he was in the Jeffries tube, and he was having this whole existential crisis of, I don't belong in the Cerritos. I got kicked off the Titan. Who am I? Where do I belong? It's almost like he might have been coming to a realization at that point. And then even the talking plate, sure, it was the fumes maybe that did that, but it could also be like his programming in his head, maybe trying to reset him back to the way he's supposed to think, because he says, you've been in tougher situations than this. Just fix it. Do it. So who knows? Maybe there's something deeper there. Maybe I'm looking way too much into it. But I don't know. It's interesting to me. The whole crisis in the Jeffries tube was a thing as well, which I don't think a lot of people really. I think a lot of people glaze that over. But I think I looked too much into it when I was watching it, and I noticed it the first time around too. It just stood out to me. So I don't know if it was meant to or not. But
What started to me in the Jeffries tube specifically was the idea that, well, obviously you wouldn't need approval on the system to turn off something dangerous. So the fact that it even refused the simplest of emergency stops is either a flaw in their system, which is possible. They've now gone overzealous security system. It's too zealous. I could buy that, but there was a ring of something's not right there, and maybe it can't even detect his biosign properly. So it's like, we're not even a person, let alone Boimler.
Yeah. He even vocalized it. He said that even in an emergency, it doesn't matter. Yeah, so...
Yeah, and he would know that. He knows the rule book. He knows this stuff. So that struck me as odd. And certainly I could see that if he's mostly Boimler, but sort of still not fully human, then everything wouldn't quite click. And then when they start doing diagnostics and say, okay, he is Boimler, there's just a glitch in somewhere they're connected, and let's tweak it so this version of him is the thing that... I can see them sidelining, it's probably broken, we'll just tweak it so it lets him anyway. So that would be interesting. And it wouldn't take much, I think, to confuse a computer to say, well, but he's not really there. Because doors are weird. You would think doors would open regardless. Just like
we talked about this earlier. Like, this is one of the things that comes up in TNG all the time. Like, why did they let people roam around the ship and have access to all this stuff? Whereas installing the new security measures, which is the point they make at the beginning because of all the Packlet activity, was interesting because, certain biosigns shouldn't be able to access certain areas or access certain equipment or consoles. I love that.
I joked to you previously, a botanist wouldn't need to know the quantum torpedo launcher bay. Ever.
Except in an emergency. If everybody else on the how many times has everybody on the ship been knocked out and like 5 people survive in one section and they have to do a thing and get access to a thing, and they might not have the training for it, but they got enough Starfleet training, they kind of know what to do. Like, there's a lot of emergency situations where you kind of want people to have access to everything just in case, but
then you just argued against your own point of having limited access. I don't think
for guests on the ship, not necessarily crew.
Sure. Well,
because how many times were people just on the ship that access stuff? Like the Cardassian and the Wounded was down on a deck, 32, doing a thing.
Yeah, but that I think is an easy one where they had a scanner and they were to like hack in and do a thing because they're prepped for the mission. You know, they
wouldn't allow a scanner on a Cardassian.
Have you seen how the Klingons had a gun in their armor?
Yeah, but that was part of it was broken up so it didn't register as a gun.
So I think the scanner would be inside his uniform, hidden in part of the piece. It don't have to be a little thing that's like, because if they had weeks to prep, we're gonna go. That's like any old gimmick to get through stuff. But it's a simple, interesting concept, and it does lend a bit more credence to he's not really the right him. Because in last episode, those that might not have watched it, is that he may be a Packlet spy or a Packlet sort of clone recreation of Boimler. So, or one of them might be. We assumed it'd be the Titan version. But that'd be a really interesting twist, actually, if it turns out the Cerritos one is the baddie. And the Titan one, who actually felt confident because he's like, the real him has got his true inner self. And then he becomes this great hero. It's like, well, that's a shift in character. That would
make sense. That was the plan, to get the bad or the infiltrator onto the Titan, but they screwed it up, the two of them. So they got him on the least important ship ever, the Cerritos.
Oh no, that's
so he's no good. He's no good to his handlers. But people are probably like, well, obviously the one's the transporter clone, the other one's the real one. But you got to remember that the transporter clone beamed up, and then like a minute later, not even, all of a sudden he managed to get out from under the rubble, run to the shuttlecraft, fight his way to the shuttlecraft, take off, and get within transporter distance of the ship. It was too convenient, which makes me think that the real Boimler is still being held captive by the Packlids. So there's actually 3 Boimlers at this point, one of which is a infiltrator by the person that's helping the Packlids, the mastermind behind it all. Like, we're looking probably way too deep into it, but if it pays off at some point, then we can say we told you so. So I don't know. There's a lot of weirdness going on. If you haven't checked out our other video about the Boimler thing, check that out, because we go into a lot more detail on that as well. So,
well, we already know there's a grander something here. And now having put that together, that would be so fun actually if specifically, and just to reiterate a bit my own way, that it wasn't the Packlids' plan to clone the Boimlers. That was the grand, it was a XYZ for this higher power that was already there, higher force anyway. But yeah, of course the Packlids, if they're executing it, they might F up. And so the Boimlers happened to be programmed them slightly wrong, and that would be a great twist of like, well, it would have gone so well.
Yeah. And Future Guy or whoever's behind the scenes, the mastermind, is like all pissed off now because the infiltrator's an idiot and he's on the Cerritos, the least important ship, when they wanted him on the Titan for some reason. That would be hilarious. And I could see that being what Mike McMahon would kind of craft, because nobody would expect it. So are we overanalyzing things, or are we like on the ball here? I don't know. Well, we always overanalyze, so yeah.
We are on a solid ball while overanalyzing everything around it. No, I'm actually quite excited about that now. But Stuart, I think there's lives to watch and more videos to watch, edited ones. So go do both of those things. Either the lives at 10 p.m. GMT, 5 p.m. Eastern. Tune in when they're live, or go watch them back in replay, because we love that. We love that communication with the audience. We love being able to discuss. This is our nice microcosm discussion. But what if one of those guys says something really amazing, creates a whole sparking conversation? If you're interested in these topics, if we have one that's alive, do go watch it. You won't regret it.
That's right. So, and to make sure you don't miss those lives, make sure you're subscribed and click the notification bell icon to all. Please like this video. It's a simple, free thing you can do to help out the algorithm and our channel. We'd really appreciate it. And if you can't make the lives, please comment down below, because we do like reading the comments. We like seeing your thoughts on things, and we do like, hearing from you guys. So if you're able to do so, please do so. So until next time, guys.
And Patreon, if you can support us financially, all this content is for free. So please, if you are able to, don't worry if you're not, but if you can, so think about Patreon or join the channel or super chatting during the lives, or give us a one-time donation at Trekyards@hotmail.com is the PayPal, and that goes towards funding tech, equipment, upgrades, etc. It's all important, and thank you in advance if you can.
Yes. We hope none of you are fake infiltrator spies. So until next time, I think he's Commander Cockings.
And I'm pretty sure he's Captain Foley. We'll see. Bye, guys.